Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 107, The Dark No Longer Hides. And that's what this is about. How open and audacious the dark is in all forms now, no matter where it is, content, government, education, healthcare. It's open and overt. So maybe we need to make the light more open and overt so people can move towards it. Enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show.
Let's get meta.
I'm your host, Renata Maniaci, here to remind you that you are a divine, spiritual light being having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. It's temporary. It's only temporary. We have to make the most of it. We have to live up to our incarnation, our mission, our purpose for being here. It's fleeting. This is season 7, Heaven on Earth, and this is episode 107. And this is going to be interesting, folks. There's a lot coming through right now. There's a lot on my mind, and I do not know yet what the discernible route will be through this episode. But I'm sure we'll find one. So let's jump right in, shall we? Are you ready? Let's get meta. Masters and angels, I request your presence, assistance, guidance, and support through this episode. I invoke the light of the divine within me. I am a clear and perfect channel. Light is my guide, highest possible good, and only good is allowed. Please let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. And let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with gratitude and full faith. Bless creation. There's a lot on my mind. There's a lot on my heart. There's a lot on my soul right now. When I wanted to sit down and do this episode a few days ago, what was coming in very strongly was how much the dark, we'll call this the dark and the light, right? Will be very black and white. Because there are levels of this planet that are very black and white. So we're going to do that just to simplify. But knowing that in the grand scheme of things, in the grand picture, in the highest level of consciousness and all that is, we are everything. We are everything. We are the light and the dark. We are everything and nothing. We are nothing and we are the whole, all of it. So keep that in your souls and in your hearts throughout this episode, even as I talk about dark and light, if that's what comes out. We are being so infiltrated by the dark that once you start to see it, it is impossible not to see it. And it is everywhere. It's everywhere. What brought this up in me lately? I was on a flight and watching some free entertainment, and I chose to watch the new Doctor Strange movie. And I just want to preface this. I'm not speaking bad about Doctor Strange or whoever made it or whatever, Marvel, Avengers, I don't even know. I really don't. I chose to watch this because a long time ago, I saw the first one and I really appreciated it. There were things that were said in that movie that were absolute truth. I can't even tell you what they were. Something about Tilda Swinton saying something about reorienting the mind to heal the spirit. Something like that. There was a line in the first movie about that, and it just hit me, and I was like, whoa, that is truth. And in fact, oh my God, I have it right here next to me. Here, let me grab it. Let's see what it is. This is ridiculous. I've moved since I wrote this down, but it followed me and it's right next to me on my bulletin board. I wrote it down. She said, I know how to reorient the spirit to heal the body. In the first Doctor Strange movie, right? I wrote it down. It's right next to me. If you saw my bulletin board, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is 7 things on it. And this is one of them. And this is just coming through. I didn't plan this. I just remembered that I happened to have this next to me. Okay? This is the first movie. And so I'm on the plane and I said to myself, let's watch the next one. Why not? I got something out of the first one. There was some truth in there. And you know what? There are some truth. Hopefully, hopefully whatever we're watching, there's some truth in it. And there's some just absolute, maybe most of it is lies. Maybe most of it is false. Maybe most of it is dark. This was satanic. And they're not even hiding it. They're not even hiding it. Oh, maybe I've gotten more I know I've gotten more sensitive over the last few years with all the work I've been doing and in my spiritual community and whatever. I'm more sensitive now. But my insides were crawling while I was watching this on the plane. And I forced myself to watch all of it because I was like, well, there has to be, how is it going to end? They have to turn this around at some point. And it just kept getting darker and darker and more satanic and more overtly satanic and using dead people to do things. And the whatever it's called, the pentagram and child sacrifice and all of this stuff. It's just like, it's so overt. I just couldn't, I'm clearly still not over it. It was so overtly dark and it didn't even end on an up note. You have to give it to American cinema for the majority of its, relatively short history. 100 years of cinema, maybe. American cinema is fairly uplifting, fairly inspiring. We usually like to end on an up note, especially if we're doing the whole superhero thing and the movies and the blah, blah. Why do we have so many superhero movies, huh? Everything that comes into consciousness is coming from somewhere. It's coming from something. And even if the screenwriters, even if the authors, even if the director, whoever doesn't realize it consciously, it's coming in from some level of consciousness, some dimension, some reality that is happening. It's coming in for some reason to express, to show on screen some kind of truth that is happening around us. So I know what I said before about some truth coming through and resonating with that, and then like lies. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is reflecting what is happening around us. And it used to be subtle. I feel like it used to be subtle. You look at all the Disney movies that have all the crap in it, like all you have to do is look up sexual innuendos in Disney movies. That was not a mistake. All of those things that you'll read about in the articles that come up or watch in the clips that come up when you Google that, in Aladdin and Lion King and 80 other Disney films, Pixar even, all of it, that was all on purpose. Whoever was doing the animation did that on purpose. These aren't mistakes. Purposefully, subliminally putting in messages of sex and sexualization for the child audiences that are watching these movies. We don't even sink into what that means. You have to think about what it means that somebody is doing this on purpose. And we just kind of brush it off or laugh at it. Oh, it says this in the clouds. Oh yeah, look at what they say here. And it is a reflection of our reality. It's a reflection of the darkness that has been creeping up and encroaching every aspect of our lives, every aspect, to the point that what the children are watching is seeped with innuendo. That if parents and people and adults who were awake recognized what that meant, there would be an uproar. An uproar. Think about that. You know, we all just kind of laughed it off. But what? Who in their right mind would laugh that off if they saw that that's what their kid was watching, and that is what is subliminally and subconsciously and purposefully being put into their minds? And now we're just doing it. Now they're just going for it overtly, not even trying to hide it in the clouds, not even trying to hide it in a picture in the background of a scene, not even trying to whisper something so low that you might not hear it, but only your subconscious will hear it, and it'll get in there somehow and destroy your mind and brainwash you and groom you and whatever. Overt. It's overt now. And it has been for a long time. You know, I'm probably just catching up because I don't, watch that many new movies because they haven't been that great, honestly. And I consider myself a movie connoisseur. I enjoy film, and some level of me hopes to create uplifting content and film in the future parts of my life, if that's what I'm supposed to do. But I could feel my stomach turning. I could feel the darkness reaching out of that film. And, like, God bless everyone who was in there and everyone who had anything. I'm not picking on the film. I'm pointing out. I'm pointing out how blatant the dark and the dark forces and negativity and brainwashing and Satanism and demonic forces and energy have gotten. How bold. How bold. They used to hide. They used to have to do this stuff under the cloak that it was something good, under the cloak of being righteous and moral, under the cloak of religion, under the cloak of good government, under the cloak of education, under the cloak of children's programming, young adult programming. The key word being programming. They used to have to hide it so that it was so subtle we'd never pick up on it. And you know what? For the most part, we didn't. The majority of us didn't pick up on it. We kept watching it and listening to it. The music, don't get me started on the music. If you become really sensitive, if you can put yourself in your high self, what's your high self? Your soul. The part of you that is all-knowing, the part of you that is pure, the part of you that remembers God, the part of you that wants to do right by your lifetime, that wants to do right by others, that wants to do right by the divine, that part of yourself. If you can put yourself in that and listen to all kinds of music and watch all kinds of media and TV, you will have the sensitivity to feel, first of all, what is true and what is lies, but also what is of the highest vibration and what is of the lowest. You'll be able to feel it. Your stomach will crawl like mine did when you hear music that is coming directly from darkness, coming directly from the dark forces and the negativity. And they want you to hear that. They want you to feel that. They want you to be brainwashed by that. Your stomach will turn when you watch something that is so overtly satanic and dark. And I'm not talking about watching horror movies. If you're going to sit down and watch a horror movie, if you're going to sit down and watch The Exorcist or whatever, The Ring, that stuff was created overtly. You know what you're going into. You know that you're going to watch a horror film. God bless. If that's your thing, go for it. I can't stomach it. I haven't been able to stomach that kind of stuff for years. That's me. Whatever. Everyone's different. Do your thing. You like horror? Awesome. Go watch it. But this isn't that. I'm talking about things that it's mostly subtle up until now. This and that. I'm not even going to go through. I could go through a list of specifics. I'm going to already get emails about this episode, whatever. But now you're going to watch a superhero movie where the good guys are supposed to win, typically. But now that's not the story anymore. And I'll be careful what I say next. I don't want to let that happen. I don't want to be brainwashed into a world or a dimension or a vibration or a level of consciousness where the good guys don't win. Because if we start to believe that, that could become a reality. If we start to accept this blatant darkness in the movies that millions of people watch, then what are we doing? We're letting that in. We're letting the darkness in, and we're saying, oh, it's okay if you win. It's okay if you keep brainwashing us and showing us that the dark's going to win and putting up subliminal messaging or now overt messaging and slowly bringing us from a time when all the superheroes and the good guys won and slowly taking us to a time when that's not so clear. Maybe we think that they won, but there's a catch. And there's more to that story. And then maybe in 5 years and 10 years or, and some that have already been made, the bad guys are winning and we're just accepting that. And that's just a new way of being, that the dark wins and we get to accept that. And God forbid, even applaud it and be okay with it and be complacent with that. No. Are you feeling this too? Are you all feeling this? Do you see this? Do you hear this in the music? Do you see this in what you're watching? Are you reading this? Maybe books are still fairly unspoiled. I know people write crap and lies all the time, so there's that. But it's so pervasive. It's so pervasive. And I think I'm just blown away by how, the beginning of how that, the first movie in that superhero series, like I actually felt something, because I usually don't. I'm like, okay, this is entertainment value, fighting, and pause, maybe some romance, fighting, pause, more romance, violence, and the good guys win, Fine. But that one actually made me feel something, and I happen to have the thing right next to me. I'm looking at it right now. It's nuts. That's just how it is. And then this next one, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I remember there was something about that first one I really, really liked. You know what? This might be like the fourth or the fifth in a series. I don't even know, to tell you the honest truth. I just don't know. But it was so different. The feeling of it was so different. And I think I'm just seeing this as a metaphor. It's a metaphor for everything. Things being slowly corrupted and us being complacent and sitting idly by while it happens and not doing anything to stop it. And I think that's what this episode is about. I don't want to keep watching airplane movies and seeing the darkness come out of them and the innuendo and the suggestions and the brainwashing towards negative things. If I'm going to be brainwashed or subtly innuendoed or whatever, I would rather that it would be towards the positive and towards the light. That's me. Why can't they brainwash us with the light or towards the light instead of this downward spiral? And we all feel it. If you're listening to this, you feel it. I'm sure you do. So that just got me thinking, and I wanted to share that. And just implore you to be aware. Just be aware. Are you seeing this? Are you hearing this? Are you reading this? Put your energy into the light. Put your energy into positivity. Put your energy into uplifting yourself and uplifting those around you. Put your energy into banishing all negativity in your life, because they are doing their damnedest to win. Go back however many episodes I don't even remember. I mean, maybe this is 60 episodes now. The Battle for Minds, part 1 and part 2. I don't even know what numbers they are. I had a 2-part episode, The Battle for Minds. That's what this is. We're still in this. This is what it's been the whole time. Do you have control of your mind? How much are you letting others subtly control your mind by what you see and listen to and read, all of it? This is so important. If you're reaching people, if you're trying to reach people with your content, at the very least be transparent, you know? I try to be as transparent as I can. So much so that my first sentence of every episode is pretty much the same every time. It's some variation on here to remind you that you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. That's the whole point of this. That's the point. And like I said at the beginning, we are everything. We're everything. We are the good and the bad and the light and the dark. But it doesn't mean that you have to pay heed to the dark. It doesn't mean that you have to accept it or feed it. It means that you understand that it's there and you can choose to focus on the light, because we're everything, but you can choose. You have a choice. And with this choice, you know, many of you know that I do requests. You hear them. I do a request when I start every episode to have the angels come in and to help me, you know, various versions of that. And I make requests throughout my day for everything. Requests to be blissful, requests to have the support of nature, requests to get everything done that I need to be done in this day, you know, requests for a parking spot where I need it, anything. You can make requests of the angels for anything, and they're there to help. They're just waiting. They're just waiting. They're the most underused help you'll ever have. Just waiting to help you with anything. Why do I bring this up? You can make a request, believe it or not, because you can make a request about anything. You can make a request to disempower the negativity of everything that you watch and everything that you listen to. So that if you're into something, say you're into horror, you could say a request like that and you can watch it, but you can enjoy it or get entertained by it without feeling and having to digest the negative aspects of that. Because I don't care who you are. Even if you love horror, your body, your mind, your soul still has to digest what you're watching like it would a meal. You can go to a gourmet 5-star restaurant, or you can go to fast food that has been shut down every other month because they're failing health code violations, right? You can ask them to help you. I mean, number one, you can choose not to watch content like that. But sometimes you don't know about it, just like me. I was sitting there just astounded at what was happening before my eyes. And maybe I'm naive. I'm sure this is probably happening in every movie. I just don't watch that kind of stuff anymore. But I was just so astounded. But you can make a request. You can make requests so that you disempower the negative aspects of what you're consuming. You disempower the negativity and eliminate the negativity from entering your auric field so that you don't have to digest that, because it takes a toll. It takes a toll on your mind and your body and your spirit. And you might not be sensitive enough to feel that, but even just bringing this little awareness to it, you might recognize that. You might be feeling, oh man, you know what? I don't feel great after listening to this music. Or, I felt kind of shitty after watching that movie, or whatever. Because it all has an effect on us. And I know I'm focusing on media right now, but that goes for everything. It goes for food, it goes for drink, it goes for people that you're hanging out with, it goes for your job, it goes for anything. I'm sure that you've heard me talk about this enough. But be aware of this stuff. And remember that you have control over what you watch and what you intake. And remember that you can ask for help. you can ask for the dispensation to not take on the negativity of whatever you're consuming. I can't guarantee that it will work 100%. Maybe you will have the ability to have them cut it back by 30%, maybe 50%, maybe 80%. If you're super lucky, maybe 100% of the negativity will be taken away, but you might as well try. You might as well try. And that's what we're going to do in today's bonus content. I have a clearing that is clearing, first of all, as much as I'm possibly able to help with in clearing out past negative intake of whatever. Any negativity that you took in through the media, through music, through outside sources. That's the focus of the bonus content today. And then we'll see what else we can do to protect and prevent that in the future. So that's the focus for the bonus content today. If you want to take part in that, check out patreon.com/letsgetmeta. But other than that, just be aware. Be so aware. And don't let them win. Can't we just go out and create uplifting, light stuff? We have to do something about this. Uplifting content, inspiring content. I'd rather watch no content. I'd rather have no content, no music, no anything if it was the choice between that and watching this negative satanic shit. But why do that when we can balance it out, or dare I say even beat out the negative by flooding everything with positivity? Why isn't there good news? Why isn't the news good? Why doesn't it share uplifting things, inspiring things, beautiful things that have happened? Because you know there are them, but you wouldn't know it to look at the news. I'll stop there for today. Thank you so much for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. If you are ready to raise your vibration, you might enjoy our free Let's Get Meta Master Clearing. To receive the Master Clearing or to learn more about the podcast, visit letsgetmeta.com. We like to share metaphysical stories and answer spiritual questions on the podcast. If you have a metaphysical experience you would like to share or have a spiritual question you would like to have answered, please send an email to info@letsgetmeta.com. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be an angel donor to the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.